no executive level employee may accept employment. And you can get into questions of, well, does that mean just being an actual employee of a casino? Does it mean providing services as an independent contractor? So it's a fine point. To be honest with you, I doubt in his case that he intends really to do either one during the first year, but we have to be very careful with our wording, because you're putting something out there that people are going to rely on, in essence, as a precedent. So you need to just stick with what you're allowed to do and note when you can't go beyond that.
Tell me again what's the difference in us interpreting the Ethics Act and the Gaming Act.
Okay. Under the Ethics Act, the General Assembly told you that you have the authority to issue advices and opinions telling people what their duties are. In fact, the statute calls them directives. You can issue directives to a requester saying, here's your duties, here's what you can and cannot do. That's really broad. That's acting like a court, basically. In the Gaming Act, if you look at the wording, and actually, I have that written, and I'll read it to you.
Would you be kind enough to cite the sections?
I will. This, the Gaming Act key section would be 4 Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes, section 1512, 8.5, and this is paragraph 1. The State Ethics Commission shall do all of the following: issue a written determination of whether a person is subject to subsections A, A1, or A2 upon the written request of the person, etc. Do you want me to read the whole section? This is the key language. Whether they're subject to them. It doesn't say that you can go on to issue directives to them about what they can and cannot do, just whether it applies to them. It's my legal opinion you can't go beyond that based on case law, which says that an administrative agency may only exercise the powers that the General Assembly specifically gives it. Now, in contrast, under the Ethics Act, the wording is very broad, and I do have that along too. If you want me to read that language for you, I can.
Well, rather than go through the language, just cite the section for us so that we can.
Okay. It would be 65 Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes, sections 1107, 10, and 11 are the sections that set forth what you can do, and then in 1102, the definitions of advice or opinion also support that it's very broad.
John, further question?
So when we respond to Mr. Sturgeon, we're going to say for the year, which he agrees to, but we can't tell him what to do on the consulting end during that year or after that year. That's how we're going to respond, which I think is very nebulous after he takes, I'm not a lawyer, so.
I think,
Pardon me? Should I rely on my lawyers?
I think what he was worried about, to be honest with you, from his different letters, was he didn't know whether when he came back to the board as an annuitant, whether that extended the time period. And it could have done it a couple of different ways, I think, in his mind. Number one, the fact that he came back, and annuitants are treated as employees, okay? Number two, he may not even have realized this, but when the law was amended, literally days after he retired, okay, it extended the time period that prohibition, one of the key prohibitions, would apply from 1 year to 2 years. So it was actually an excellent question that he posed, because, you know, did his coming back as an annuitant trigger now the new time frame?
Yeah, that's what he was.
That's what he was worried about.
Yeah, you can tell that from the. Okay. Well, are you all comfortable with that?
Any further questions, comments? If not, the motion and the second is on the floor. If there be no further comments, all those in favor of the motion as stated, kindly respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Me.
And there's one in opposition. Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Are there any other items to come before this commission during its public session? There being none, and there being none in the audience to raise any questions, the meeting will then accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And it's been moved, and there is a second, and we will adjourn the public session. Thank you all very much.